Hello, welcome to Australia, welcome to Australian Book Travels, welcome to our sneaky book review this week. I'm trying to get as many as I can in now so that we can really go over these books and explore them together, and if you haven't read them, then to encourage you to read them or not. It's up to you. You know, I'm not a big fan, but anyway, I can't see a thing without them, so let's begin. I hope you're all well before we begin. Actually, it's been a little bit wet and hot here. We've had quite a few mosquitoes and things, so it's a bit warm. So I hope you're all well. Anyway, here we begin. I read this earlier this year, or late last year, early this year, I think. This is Stacey Hall's Mrs. England. I hope you can see that. I'm sure you can. Stacey Hall's is English. This was published by Manila Press. I absolutely love the cover. I really love the cover. And the end papers, although they're written on there, which is a shame, but they're lovely too. And that's Stacey there, which is lovely. So she is English, and this book, Stacey Hall's is English. This is her third book, I think. Yeah, I'm fairly sure this is her third. I could be wrong. I'll get back to you on that. I'm just trying to look when this was actually... 2021. There you go. So we're a few years behind, but that's okay. So I read this with an open mind, as I try to with most of my books anyway, unless I know the author. I haven't read Stacey before, so I really went in with an open mind. Unless they're an author I know, and I know that I love them, I always go in anticipating or excited that I'm reading yet another of my favourite authors. But with Stacey, I went in with an open mind, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Now, it is set in 1904, I beg your pardon. It has been a few weeks, if not a month, since I read this, so please forgive me. 1904, it is based in West Yorkshire. It begins in London, actually, and then she moves to West Yorkshire. Ruby May is the protagonist, and she is I'm just trying to double check that, make sure I haven't got that wrong. Yeah, no, it is. It's Ruby May, and she has trained as a children's nurse for the employment within a wealthy family or a well-to-do families. She begins in one family, and then circumstances make it necessary for her to move on to another family. As ever, I will not give you the full story, because you really need to read these books to get your a surprise out of it. You know, I mean, I don't always like to know myself, and in fact, I don't like to know what a book is about. Very basic, obviously. You want to know that it's something that you're going to enjoy, or it's within your genre. But I don't like to give the whole story away. So Ruby May is a children's nurse, and she finds herself in a well-to-do family in looking after their children in West Yorkshire. This is so well written. Not once in reading this book did I feel that there was any word or paragraph or page that was unnecessary. I was going to say it had me at hello, but no. It had me really wanting to read more. Really wanting to read it, and not a waste to read this book. It was absolutely fantastic. I have been thinking about how I would equate this, and look, Stacey Halls is a writer unto herself, like all writers, but this is in a certain genre, but it's, and I'm going to equate her with a couple of classic and modern classic authors in a minute, but obviously her style is her own. I loved the storyline. I love the writing, the style. Stacey started the story where you were really entranced with what this was going to be all about. You wanted to know the characters, and it built up in atmosphere. So, and because it's so beautifully written, and perhaps because of that atmosphere that she places in the book, I have to equate it. Now, they're not the same stories, they're not the same authors. So hold still on your criticism if you're going to criticize me, but I would equate her with Daphne du Maurier. When I was reading this, it reminded me a little in the sort of a neuron of my mind of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier and Jane Austen. And for some reason, I cannot work out why, because the story's not the same at all. But for some reason, I had Northanger Abbey, Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey in my mind, and I don't understand why. Maybe it's because it was so atmospheric, and I found Northanger Abbey to be that way. So, yeah, I think Stacey Halls is going to... This is the only one I've read of hers. I do have another of hers that I've purchased called The Familiars, and I will be reading that, and I'll let you know what I think of that. But Mrs. England and Stacey Halls, I think this is going to go down as a classic in its own right, and in this time. She had characters in here. There were periphery characters who were necessary to the story, but we didn't get too involved in those. The main characters were limited, so you didn't become confused as to who's who and what's going on, but she gave you a depth of character. There was certainly, for me, they were all three-dimensional, very real, very believable. There was a twist in the tale, which I like. I like that mystery and so forth. But look, all I can say is it was extremely well written, not a word wasted, not a paragraph wasted. I enjoyed every page. Not one page did I think, oh, I could skip this, or I could move on, or this is unnecessary. Not at all. The characters, you knew, you came to know them and to like them. Not one character did I dislike. I understood their foibles and their personality, and perhaps some of those traits I didn't like, but I didn't dislike any character in this book. They were all necessary to the story, and they all had their own story to tell. So thoroughly enjoyed this. I would recommend it. Let me get my glasses on again. Yes, so Manila Press, English writer, set in West Yorkshire. Thoroughly enjoyed it. She gives, Stacey Halls gives a really good description of time and place, and yes, very atmospheric. Loved it. Get yourself, if you haven't, go to the library or buy it. I think this, surprisingly enough, I'm starting to build up a little bit of a list here of the books that I will probably reread. And along with Diary of a Tuscan Bookshop, I think I could definitely reread this and probably buy it in a hardcover as well. So that's a fairly decent recommendation for me, because I rarely reread books. rarely, unless they're really true classics and just love them. And I really, there are so many books I want to buy or want to read. I rarely think to myself that I would go out and buy the same book in a hardcover. But this one I probably would, definitely. Tough, big recommendation. I love it. Absolutely great book. The next one was given to me as a gift at Christmas, and I have never read this author before. It's Stephanie Austen, Death Comes to Dartmoor. This is a series. There are a few in this. There's a Dead in Devon, Dead on Dartmoor, From Devon with Death, The Dartmoor Murders, A Devon Knight's Death, Death Comes to Dartmoor, and A Devon Midwinter Murder by Stephanie Austen. Now, this is by Allen and Busby, I think. I'm sure it is, yeah. Alison, sorry, I beg your pardon. I'm thinking something else. Alison and Busby. And this was written in 2023. This was bought, I've had this person buy me quite a few books over the last few years, and they haven't been readily available in any sort of bookshop. And I've been trying to get the information out of this person as to where they've been buying these books. Well, this Christmas, I finally won them over, and they admitted that they'd been buying them from a bookshop in Sydney that also has an online store, and that is Abby's bookshop. Sorry, I forgot. Well, my mind went blank for a minute there. It's, what did I just say? Abby's. Abby's bookshop. My goodness. It's hot, everyone. It is hot. It was hot yesterday. It was 37 degrees yesterday, and we're still, there's a hangover. It's cooler today, but there is a hangover of the heat, particularly in the house. So that's my excuse for having my mind go blank. So Abby's bookshop. Now, I made the fatal error of going onto Abby's bookshop online. Unbelievable. I'm speechless. They have nearly every book, really obscure books, and some of them that you just don't get in generic bookshops or in any sort of down at your local bookshop. They have them online. I was tapping in all sorts of authors, all sorts of titles, and Abby's was just coming up with them. Yes, they're this price, and yes, they're available. So that was dangerous. That was really dangerous. I've banned myself now. I bought a few, which when they arrive, we'll do an unboxing. There's only a few that I bought. I was good, really. But I'm going to try and ban myself because they just look such a great bookshop. A lot of the great English books that we don't usually get. So that's lovely. Anyway, I digress. Death Comes to Dartmoor, Stephanie Austen. Obviously a crime book, fiction. Now this is the protagonist is Juno Brown. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It's set in present time. She's not a detective. She is Miss Public, member of the public, but she has her own. This is obviously down the track in the series. It's there are a number before this, so there is a story. Although you can read this on its own, which I did and I enjoyed it. There's clearly threads of stories through this that mentioned in here that have been in previous books. So it may not be a bad idea if you really want to start the series, start it from the beginning. Although, as I say, I enjoyed this as a standalone. Well, not a standalone, but on its own to begin with. So I really enjoyed it. But there were a couple of little things that I personally wasn't... sorry, I've got an itchy nose. I personally wasn't enamored with. One was a saying which was fairly typical of a saying of today, which I didn't like it. It wasn't rude or anything, but I just didn't really. Maybe I just really enjoy my golden age crime too much. But and there was, forgive me if I'm wrong, and I will check it, but I'm sure there was a swear word in here that I thought, look, I'm no prude, certainly not. But, and you know, I was in a career where I dealt with people who were not always pleasant and not the normal, what you would consider normal in society. But so I've heard a lot of abuse and swearing, but I just find that in my books, when I'm reading, I want to escape from that. It doesn't make the book bad or wrong, or the author, you know, bad or wrong. It's just that I prefer to get away from that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy classics and my golden age crime. I tend to try, if I can, steer clear of more modern books where I think there's going to be swearing and perhaps terminology that I just don't want to be part of. But look, it wasn't offensive. It wasn't prolific. I think it was only one term and one statement and one swear word, I think. I'll check that because I don't want to do the wrong thing by Stephanie. As I say, this one I also read at the beginning of the year or end of last year. So, that's right. I read it at just after Christmas. So it has been a while because I have read a few books since then. But I will check that, and if I'm wrong, I will issue an apology. But yes, I just find that I'm not overly keen on that. But it didn't ruin the book for me. Would I read any more of hers? Yes, I would. But look, in all honesty, I have so many books where they are a series and I thoroughly enjoy them. There are also series that I want to start that are more in my genre, which is the golden age crime. So I'm more inclined to start those, because time is of essence, really. You know, I'm not in my teens or 20s, so I want to read not rush my reading, but I do want to read as much as I can. So I'm starting now to be a little bit more discerning with what I read for a number of reasons, but one is because time. And not only that, I'm now videoing most of the week is taken up, and my weekends is taken up with either videoing or editing or researching. And so time really is of the essence now. And if I had time, yes, I would. And look, I may grab another of Stephanie's and read another one, but I hesitate at doing that only because once started, if I start down that track, I may not finish it. It may just keep going and going. So, look, you know, I stand here in front of you to be corrected. You may find in a few months' time that I've read the whole series. Look, you know, this is the problem with me, but I'm going to try and be more discerning with my reading. That's the truth of it, but it may not end up that way. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I do recommend it, but just be aware that there were those little things that for me wasn't what I wanted to read or that I thought was necessary. But that's life now. That's if you're going to read a book that's written in present day, you can't have it with the themes and the writing from 100 years ago. So I respect that and I appreciate that. But yes, I just wanted to let you know that, just to give you a heads up. Look, there's not a lot of it. I think it's only one word and one phrase that wasn't a terrible phrase. I can't even remember it now, but it was just something very contemporary. And I thought, that I can hear that on the street, and which is good in one way because it means that Stephanie's up to date with things, but it just wasn't, just didn't appeal to me, that's all. But I really did enjoy the story. I thought Juno was a great protagonist. She has the characters around her, her friends and so forth, were really worth reading as well. So I enjoyed it. So that's that one. Recommend it. So what I will try and do a few of these, a couple of books at a time, a couple of times a week. I have already committed myself to one book review on a Monday for the next few weeks. So you will have those, but I think in future I'll try and get a few each week done so that we can get through some of these books, and it gives you something to think about and read if you want to read them, or if you've read them, to have a chat to me about them. So please, if you've read these, or if you want to know anything further about them, the books that I've just shown you, please put your comments in the comment section below. If you have liked this video or any others, please like and subscribe and share. Subscribing is for free. I've done it actually with a few of my favorites on YouTube. It's free. It just takes a few seconds of your time. And it does help channels. It does help all of us to help produce more of these videos for you. Anyway, I will see you on Saturday for our next travel, and I hope you enjoyed last week's. I know I will be doing a separate video actually, because I know there have been a few glitches with the videos. That is, usually it's my fault. I am learning how to edit, and I'm learning how to video and put music to it and all that sort of thing, and I have a new microphone that I'm experimenting with as well, so that's given me a few glitches, so I do apologize for that, but I will make a video explaining that and apologizing. But anyway, I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you enjoy this Saturdays. If I don't see you for this Saturday, if you're not interested in that, or you can't watch it for some reason, then I will see you for the next book review. Anyway, until then, enjoy, happy reading. Please enjoy yourselves, and because life really is good. No matter what, there's always something to be grateful for and happy about. So yes, enjoy a lovely cup of tea or coffee. Enjoy all those snacks. Have that biscuit if you want it. Have that piece of cake. Life's too short. And try and get your reading in. Enjoy. Okay. Until next time, bye for now.